two things. This again is like from my class that where we debated.
What class is this?
Philosophy, law, and justice. We talk about abortion. We talk about a lot.
Is that a PPL course?
Yeah. So basically, my teacher said that the whole religious argument needs to be thrown out the window in regards to gay rights, because he put up this quote from this passage from the Bible. I'm not gonna be able to say it right, but basically, it said that if you don't support the Bible, your race should there should be genocide on those groups of people. And he asked the class, does anyone support genocide? And no one raised their hand. And he said, okay, so the Bible is wrong. No more religious arguments about gay rights, basically, is what he said. And then he also, we also talked about how, if gays didn't want the same, type of marriage that straight people have, they would not be going through everything they're going through to get that title. They would be not fighting, they get things said to them in public all the time. They have to defend themselves at all times. They wouldn't be doing that if they didn't want the same thing. I think that's important, because why would you be okay with having your marriage be called a civil union if that's not what you want? You want a marriage. That's how I feel. I don't know.
Yeah,
I agree
not just in name, but as Jenna was saying, it's not just about what you call it, but it's about your legal standing in the relationship.
Exactly, that. They're not the same at all.
They're not the same.
And also about Obama, I feel like there's so many other, I know that he needs to stand true to what he promised, but there's so many other things that I feel are more important, just personally, I feel it's more important. So I don't think that he needs to focus on that right now. Maybe later in his term, but not right now.
Although he campaigned heavily on it,
Yeah, he did. He did.
So
I'm not.
He's too busy? No, it's what? He is busy, no doubt. But yeah. And it's not to say that there's nothing else on his plate, because of course there is. But yeah, that's
just.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay.
Who's next? Back to Erica. Anyone else?
I was just wondering, is it legal to get married is it legal for gay marriage in Pennsylvania? Because my cousin, she's a lesbian, she just got married last week in Pennsylvania. They had a ceremony and everything. I don't know if the rabbi said by the state, if you don't think she did.
Massachusetts is the only state with legal.
Marriage?
In marriage, yeah.
Oh, well then they had a really nice party.
There's nothing stopping you from having a ceremony,
And the ceremony was really nice too. I just think everything was, but I guess they didn't say by the state, and I just missed that. But
Yeah, Mache.
The whole argument against civil unions is that it creates separate but equal. That was held up by Brown versus Board of Ed. And so having just a category for gays and lesbians and categorizing them into civil union just creates a separate but equal category for them. So Brown versus Board of Ed creates the precedence of not allowing that. And second, a lot of people are against this referendum stuff. But I believe at the core of democracy, don't you have the people voting for what they want? So why is everyone for all these politicians making our decisions and whatnot? I understand it's a civil issue, but if you bring it to a national vote and 60% of the nation doesn't want it, that's what democracy is, the nation voting on what they do or do not want.
Yeah, no, that is true.
This referendum issue is actually something that I've been really debating on internally, and I'll give you my train of thought, and I'd like to get some feedback on it.
Yeah, great.
First, obviously, as so many people have cited, that the ignorance of the people warrants that these issues should not go via referendum, popular vote, whatever. And the first thing that comes to my mind within U.S. government itself is the Electoral College. That was specifically developed because the Founding Fathers thought that the ignorance of the people would leave them open to manipulation through political parties, media, whatever, to vote the wrong way, and that's why they developed the Electoral College. And after the 2000 election, I think that everybody can say that that is not a good idea, not a good plan. So how can we use it in this reference? This is something that I've been trying to deal with on my own, and I'd really like some feedback if anybody has any.
I think we probably have some feedback. It sounds like you've been reading the Federalist Papers.
Well, I'm a PBL major too, and I'm in a class called Society and Religion. And so we've been discussing this a lot as well.
Oh, excellent. That's good. Some cross-pollination. Pollination. Cross-pollination. Graham.
In regard to the referendum thing, I'm kind of against it because I think that, as we've seen previously, people are kind of ignorant to political issues a lot of the time. And that's why we don't just sit around like Neanderthals and vote on everything. That's why I pledge allegiance to a government. And as a gay person, I want my government to protect me, like not kind of be pussies, like no offense, and just put it on my neighbors. Like I don't want my neighbor deciding my fate. That's why I have a government. And in terms of the Obama thing, like he does have a lot on his plate right now, but he could at least be working on the don't ask, don't tell, because we're in a war and thousands of people are getting kicked out who are, you know, perfectly good soldiers. And by saying he's going to be a fierce advocate, I feel like that was kind of like, I want your votes, give me your votes, and I'm just going to kind of not do anything. And just as like, and quickly, like with the religious thing, I think it's laughable, the whole religious argument, because I mean, people take a few verses from Leviticus and Sodom and Gomorrah, and then they ignore the verses like very closely thereafter that say don't wear clothing of mixed materials. Christ said it was adultery to get a divorce and marry someone else, but we ignore that because it's inconvenient. We pick out who we want to hate.
Great. Okay, we'll hit Steve real quick, then we'll keep coming.
I think the whole argument that believing that Obama's actually going to change something is stupid to believe. Every politician in history promises something and doesn't do it. I just think that's ignorant in itself. Religion and government doesn't help either. But look at any kind of positive change that anything throughout history, any positive change that are like so hard to come by. Like civil rights is still not over. It's amazing that like we sit here and we're like contemplating like, oh, this should change, that should change, but the same things they fought over like hundreds of years ago still going on.
Let alone in the 1970s.
Exactly. Religion, like, never ends.